So we'll try to understand what is an array, why do we use an array, and how to use an array. We'll talk about this. What is an array? Why to use an array? How to use an array. See, these are some basic questions. We'll see. Theory part is very limited. We'll try to understand this. So what is an array? Anyone want to? So before we try to understand what is an array, we should understand why we are trying to learn array. Before array, what we have? So before array, if you want to store multiple values, then what we have to do? We have to create that many number of variables. If you want to store multiple values, then we have to create that many number of variables. But because of that, what happens? Due to creating of multiple variables, creation and maintenance of multiple variables is difficult. Because if I want to store multiple, let's say 10,000 values, then we have to create these many number of values, right? So these many number of, let's say I want to store 1 lakh values. Then what will happen? You have to create that many number of variables. So managing all these variables and accessing the value will be difficult. So values will be stored in a scattered memory locations. Values will be stored in different memory locations. So accessing the value will become difficult. Right? Then we have the array. Because we cannot use that many variables to store multiple values. So what is an array? So solution for this problem is we have an array. So with the help of array, we can store multiple values. So what is an array? Array is an collection of multiple values of same type which are stored in a sequential memory location. Sequential memory locations. It is stored in sequential memory locations. Okay, we know that it is a collection of multiple values of same type which are stored in a sequential memory locations. Then why to use array? We know that using array we can store multiple values of same type. Using array we can store multiple values of same type. Now what are the advantages, what are the drawbacks of array? We will also look into that. So why to use an array? Using array we can store multiple values of same type. right? And what happens? The values are stored. Since values are stored in sequential memory locations, what happens? Sequential memory locations, accessing the value becomes easy. Accessing the values becomes easy. Since values are stored in sequential memory lists, accessing the values becomes easy. Now we'll try to understand how to use an array, how to create an array, then how to use that actually, how to store multiple values. The question is how to store multiple values. Question is how to store multiple values using array and access them. How to use an array and how to store multiple values using array, access them. This is the question. What is the question? How do I use array or how do I store multiple values using this one? Now first thing first. So whenever you try to create an array, you are actually going to create an object. You are going to create an object. There you will store multiple values, because using object only we can hold multiple values, right? So first thing, when we create an array, we actually create an object. When we create an array, we actually create an object. We actually create an object which stores array values or elements. So it is going to have an object. Now since we have object, then it will have a reference also. Since it will have a reference variable also pointing to that object, so object will be created. So that object will be referred by some reference variables, will be having a reference also. Now for every array, now when you try to create an object, now let's say I want to hold 10 values. Now what you will do, you will create 10 variables. Now you will allocate the memory. You will allocate the memory for 10 variables. Now when memory will be allocated?
First time you take the reply.
When the array is when the memory is allocated for any variable, when you put some value, then only we can say memory is allocated.
Yes.
Right? Now whenever you create an array, you create an object. Now what is object? Object is nothing but memory allocation. Now when memory allocation means you have to put some value there. Now array elements are initialized with some default value. There some value will be put. That's why you say object is allocated or object is created. Object creation is nothing but memory allocation. Object creation is nothing but memory allocation. So similarly, when you create an array, it will create an object, and inside that object, let's say you want to create an array of 10 elements. So 10 elements will be stored in that particular object, and all the elements will be initialized with some default value. Right? So all array elements will be initialized with some default value. Okay, let's try to create an array. Now let's say I want to hold multiple 10 values, but I am not sure about the values. I just want to create 10 variables. Values I will decide what to put later on. Now sometime you are sure about the values, or sometime you are not sure. Now let's say you want to store student marks or student roll numbers, multiple values. Now right now you do not know what is the roll number. Now you have to just allocate the memory. First you have to allocate the memory, first thing. Otherwise you know in advance, you will know the values in advance. That is also one of the way. Now you have two choices. Either at the time of array creation itself you know the values, or you don't know the values. If you know the values, then there is one way of putting the values. If you do not know the values, then there is another way of putting the values. So if you know the values, if we know the values, then we can create array in different fashion. Then we can create an array like this. So how do we create that? Now let's say I want to store, example, I want to store integer values. I want to store integer values. Now 10 integer values I want to store. So I say integer and then I write square bracket. Now what this square bracket means is, now I told you, I say array and I know the values. If you know the values, then I write curly braces equal to, I write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I know the values. So this is when you do know the values in advance. So this is an array which stores 5 values, which stores the 5 values. Now let me explain this line also. Now what happens in this case? I told you, internally there will be object creation. There will be a object creation. In that object, this is an object. Now in that object, you will have multiple 5 values. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Now values are stored inside this object. Now this object will have a reference also. So what is this right hand side? This right hand side is an object. What is this array? This is a reference variable. What is this? A reference variable. So array is a reference variable which points to this particular object, particularly points to the first element itself. Array is a reference variable. Now what is the significance of this particular square bracket? Now this square bracket, now I cannot write only like this. If I write int array without square bracket, I cannot do this, because this int means this should hold only one value. Int a equal to I write. If I write int a and if I try to write multiple values, it will give me error. Why? Because this means single value. So I will not be able to do that. Okay. So this square bracket denotes, this is a notation. You don't need to write this. This is the notation. This is just a notation. Saying that this is a array. You don't need to write any value inside this. This is just a notation, square bracket. This denotes this particular variable is a array type of variable. Okay. What is the first case we are looking? I know the number of values. I know the values exactly. Then I have written this equal to curly braces. Right. Now let's say I want to store 5 characters. So how do I do that? I say char. I write this one and I write chars equal to, I know the values in advance. So I write single quote a, comma, single quote b, single quote, comma c, single quote, comma d. And that's it. This is how I create a character. Right. Now let's say I want to store array of strings. So I have string, I write strs equal to, and I write, let's say abc, xyz, and let's say pqr. So I know the values. Now how values will be stored, you know that. Now there will be a reference variable pointing to an object. Similarly here also object will be created. Right. So array of strings, array of characters. Now how data is stored in strings, we will look into that once we know the array entirely, because we are going to learn string class also, string handling. So at that time I will tell you how exactly these values are stored. Now I will tell you how many values are there. 3 values. Now in string how it happens, there are 3 values. 1, 2. Now then again we have 3 objects. How data in case of string stores. Here A, B, C. Here also we have X, Y, Z. Here also P, Q, and R. So this is the array of array. We'll talk about this array of array. What is this? How this store? We'll talk about this. Correct. 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 This is how it. So string कैसे होता है? We'll look into that array of array. This is an example of array of array. Array of array. We'll look into that. But अभी के लिए आपको पता है कि you know the values in advance. तो इसलिए आपने क्या किया? You have written the values like this in curly braces. Now suppose you don't know the values. You don't know the values. So how do we store that? How do I store multiple values? Now I want to create a array and I know the number of elements, but I don't know the values. I know how many variables I need, but I don't know what is the value of that variables. Here also we are creating multiple variables, yes, but this time I don't know the values. So let's say I want to store 10 integer values. So how do I write? Int, and there we have to write square bracket. We don't need to write anything here. This is just a square bracket to denote that this is a array type of variable, and there we can write a reference equal to, you write new. If you see here, new keyword, what purpose we use new keyword? To create a object. So right hand side we will have a object, left hand side we have reference variable. So int square bracket ref equal to new, and there you write integer bracket, and there you have to write size, how many elements. Now you want to create integer multiple values, but how many? That we have to specify in advance. You cannot keep this empty. You have to specify this. You can keep 0, you can create 1, 2, 3, 5, whatever it is. So you have to specify, let's say 10. So in this case what happens? A reference variable will be pointing to an object. There all elements will be initialized with 0, 0, 0, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So all these 10 elements will be stored like this. This is how it happens. This is how it will be created. So all the elements will be initialized with a default value. Tick. Now can I make this as 0? The size, can I make this array size as 0? Yes, you can do that, but there is no use. I can make this as 0 also. So what will happen if I make the array size as 0? Reference new int. Actually you can do that. Object will be created, yes. This is the object. New keyword means object is going to be created. Empty object, but there is nothing. There is nothing. Object will be created. Tick. Now I want to create an array with the size 0. So there is another way. So this is an array. Here also object is created. Here also object is created with no elements. Tick. So this is also empty array. Now I cannot specify. Now I have an array, and by default, now what should be the value here? This size should be, what is the type of size should be? You can write byte, short, integer. You can write char also, not long. Long we can write no. Why? This is allowed here. So long will be a very big value, and that much heavy object you are going to create. That's why it is not allowed. Then float is not allowed. Double is not allowed, right? Boolean is not allowed. और यहाँ पर you do not specify negative. Negative value is not also allowed. Negative size, you will get compile time exception. Negative size is also not allowed. Can you create an array with 0 size? Yes. Can you create an array with the negative size? No. You will get runtime exception as negative array size exception. So far so clear? Now we are able to create array in both the ways, when you know the values and when you do not know the values. Let's try to create that. ठीक है. Now I want to store five values of integer type. Now what I do, I write square bracket and I write, let's say, array of integers. So I will write complete name, array of integers equal to. Now I know the values. Now if you see here, array is created. What is the size of this array? अभी तो 0 है. Now let me tell you, every time you create an array, I told you internally. Now this is a reference variable. In this object, you have the data plus there is one variable also created. What is that variable? Along with this data, we have one more variable for every array. What is that? Length. Length is a variable associated with every other array. Along with the values, we have one more variable inside and this object. What is that? Length. So length is a variable. How do I access this length variable? We have a reference variable. So reference dot length. And what this length variable maintains? This maintains what is the size of an array. Okay. See, once again, when I said I create an object, now all the values will be stored like this. Along with that, it maintains a variable. What is a variable value? It will maintain 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever it is. What is that 0? Now it will be 10. Length will be now 10. What is 10? Length. How many containers you have? How many number of variables you have created? How many number of variables are there in this particular object? That count is variable stored in this a variable called as length. मतलब एक अलग से variable है जिसका काम क्या है? लेंथ स्टोर करना. जैसे अभी लेट्स से आपने 5 वैल्यू का एरे क्रिएट किया, तो आपका एरे का लेंथ कितना हुआ? 5. लेट्स से 10, यहाँ पे 10 लिखा है, तो आपका कितना साइज हुआ? लेंथ 10. तो ये 10 वैल्यू कहाँ पे स्टोर होगा? लेंथ नाम का एक वेरिएबल. आपको डिक्लेयर करने की जरूरत, ऑटोमेटिक क्रिएट होता है, अपने आप ही क्रिएट होता है. तो मुझे उसको एक्सेस करना है. तो कैसे एक्सेस करोगे आप? रेफरेंस डॉट लेंथ. कैसे एक्सेस करोगे? रेफरेंस डॉट लेंथ. और ये रिटर्न करेगा एक इंटीजर वैल्यू. क्या इंटीजर करेगा? इस एरे में कितने सारे वेरिएबल्स हैं, नंबर ऑफ एलिमेंट्स. नाउ इफ आई प्रिंट it is a reference array of integers dot, if you see here, you will find a variable called as length. So what length specifies?
Sir, can you bring it again? Array of integers dot.
Yes.
Do that.
This one. Which one?
Yeah.
This one?
Sir. When you got this, yeah, dot. So what is this dot length? Length is a
reference variable. It is a length is a variable.
It's a variable.
Yes, and which stores the number of elements of an array. Means what is the size of? Yes, length is a variable.
This length variable is a
instance variable.
Predefined variable of
Correct.
Java, right?
Yes.
It is an instance variable.
Instance variable, which is associated with every other array.
So it has to be static too, right, sir?
No, not static. If I had 10 arrays, then it will be 10 sizes.
So it will return the length of each array then?
Yes. So I have, let's say, 10 arrays.
But if it is applicable to all the classes and the methods, then it has to be static, right, sir?
No. Why static? I have another array, right? Now I have 10 students. Now let's say this is array 2, array 1, and it has only one element. I have another array 2 which contains 2 elements. Now what is the size of this? Size is different for these 3 arrays.
But sir, isn't it contradictory that length returns the different kind of lengths all the time when it is being used by all other methods and classes, right?
No, not other classes, only this array.
No, I mean to say the objects wherever we have created. So we are assigning this length variable. So this is a little contradictory to what we have learned before, instance static and
yeah, like this is instance only. Now let me tell you. Now let's say we have 3 students. Every student will have, let's say, roll number. So we have 3 objects, S1, S2, S3, pointing to 3 objects. Now I want to know student 1's roll number. So how do I access S1 dot roll number? I want to know student 2's roll number. I will say S2 dot roll number. I want to know third student S3. So I will say S3 dot roll number. Similarly, I have 3 arrays. These are also objects, 3 objects. These are
We are using it with all the objects we are creating. So
this
if
length.
it is accessible by all the objects, right?
Let
Whatever
me
we
draw
are
this.
creating, that means it was declared as static inside the Java,
No.
because that's what we have learned before, right? So like the static variables are common to all the methods and the variables and other functions.
Yeah, your understanding is correct, but in this case, let me explain. String अभी बात नहीं करते अपन क्योंकि it is also array of characters. Yes, yes. No, अलग. I will tell you कैसे काम करता है. I will tell you that also. अभी देखो. I will talk about string also. It is array of characters. कैसे होता है? Now देखो, यहाँ पर आपके पास 3 array हैं. Now how many objects will be created? How many objects are there? 3. Now this array 1 is pointing to an object. Array 2 is also pointing to an object. Array 3 is also pointing to an object. What is the content of this particular? 1, 1, 2. In this we have 1, 2, 3. So along with that, every object contains one more object, one more variable. What is that? Length.
No, sir. Yeah, I got this, sir. I understood this. It's just contradicting to my understanding of static instance variables.
No, your understanding is correct. Static belongs to class and it is shared by all of.
Yeah.
And instance specifics to the object only. You are correct. Now let me tell you. Now I have a class called as array and I have a variable called as int length. By default, everyone will have the length as 0. That's it. You agree on this?
Yes.
Now if I create 3 objects of this class, array 1, let's say a1 equal to new, a2, a3, right? Now you tell me, it will also object, this will also object, this will also object. Now length everyone is 0, here also length is 0. Everyone is length is 0 now. Now can I change this length later on? Yes. Now if I say a1 dot length equal to, let's say, 10. So whose length changed? A1 or A2? Only A1. So this is changed to 10, not others. Similarly here we have 3 objects and each array. Now this variable, now you tell me, is it common for everyone?
So that is a variable which is returning the value of that particular object.
Yes.
But we are using it common to all the objects.
No, we are not using common for all of the objects. Now you tell me in this case, in this case.
Sir, before I understand this, would you mind explaining this? Can we declare Boolean as a static? Static
Yes.
Boolean, can we do that?
Yes, we can do that.
We
Any
can do
data type
that.
we can do that. Yes.
So, can we do the toggle of Boolean, keeping Boolean as static? Can we do that?
We can do that.
So,
I can create a variable that is of type Boolean, yes, just like integer.
Right.
Yes, we can do that. Any type of
So,
data we can make it as
where
static.
will these variables be stored, sir? In the heap or in the stack? Because if it is commonly available, then but it is a reference variable. That means it is an instance, so it has to go into the heap memory.
Yes, it is. This will be stored in the heap. Now, if you see this length is different than this length is different than this length. So this is part of heap only. This is part of object only.
So the Boolean which we have created,
That will be also part of
is a static.
static. Now static will be part of class memory area. If you write static keyword means that will be,
Confusion, sir.
yes.
It's just that, sir, that length is getting contradictory. The
No,
usage
it is
of
not
length
contradictory. So if you see here, every time you create an array, you can think of, now can you tell me, is it contradictory now in this class array? Can you see this example? class array, and I have a variable called as int length, and then I have created 3 objects, a1, a2, a3. Now initially everyone's value is 0, then later I change this a1's length to 10.
Sir, would you mind using this length directly with the class? Can we do that?
No, why we will be able to do that? This is not static, this is instance.
Oh, okay.
This is
So
instance,
it will give
right?
us an error. It will give us an error. right?
Yes. So if I make it static, then I can access this. This will be common for everyone. But right now this is instance. Now I have to access this with the help of reference variable only. Right? Now let's say you have a bank account. Everyone has a bank account, username, password. Everyone, now let's say I have a bank account and I have username, password. Now these are instance. These are instance. Now I have account 1, account 2, account 3, and everyone will have their own username, password. Right? Let's say this username is 1, password is also 1. Here username is, let's say, 2, password is also 2, username is 3, and password is 3. Now is this common, username, password?
No, sir. No, sir. I understood. That
yeah.
I understood, sir. Yeah. It's just that the way we are using this variable.
Now let me add length. Let me add length here also. Now length, initially, now I have created this with constructor. So length I have created with 1, length I have created with 2, and length equal to 3. So everyone has length, but this length is specific to them only. Everyone has username, password, but that is specific to them only. Even though variable name is same, but it is not the same. Everyone has their own data. Similarly, I have 3 arrays and everyone has different length. So everyone will have length variable. Everyone has the username, password. Similarly, everyone has the length also. But length variable name is same, but the content is going to be different for everyone. Now let's say there are 3 bank accounts. So there will be 3 different length or 3 different username, password. So a username for this account will be different. Username for this account will be different. Name is same, variable name is same, but the content is changing. So can I say it is common? No. It is specific to that object. So similarly, I have, let's say, 10 arrays. Now every array should be having a different size. So to maintain that size, we have to maintain length. So that length variable, even though name is same, even though the name is same, but the variable is going to be different. Now I have 10 arrays, there will be 10 length variables will be created. Now if I length as a static, that will be created only once. Now are we creating length only once? No, we are creating 10 times. So length is a instance variable. Similarly, username, password, in this example, if I have 10 accounts, so there will be 10 entries of username, password and length. Right? So how many times we are creating that variable? 10 times. If a static variable is there, that will be created only once. Bank name, that will be created only once. So why did we invented that static? Because we want to save the memory. So here we are not saving, we want to maintain that separately. I have 100 arrays, then I will have 110 different variables, but name is same everyone, but they will be part of different objects. They will be part of different objects. I hope I am able to clear your doubt, Navdeep.
I guess so. It's clear.
Yeah. So see here, now if I have 3 arrays, so 3 arrays will have 3 different length variables. Now if I say this will print me 1, this will print me 2, this will print me 3, and this is with size 0, this will print me 0. Every array has 2 things. One is container and one is a length variable, which maintains the what is the size of that particular array. We can think of that way. Okay? So we know 2 ways. When we do not know the values, then we create the array like this. Right? Second, I do not know what is the value it will be going to have. So that time what I do just simply Now I want to create 3 arrays. I want to create 3 arrays. So I will just remove that. So I have 3 arrays, but I don't know the values. Now in this case, what will happen? Now in this case, array will be created. Array will be created, and length of all the arrays will be 0. Now can you modify this later on? No. Size of once arrays object is created, that's it. Object is created with no values. Object is created with no values. So this way we cannot create. This curly braces is only when you know the values. Then what we do? So I will create like this, new int. Now I want to create this array to store, let's say 10 values. I want to create this array to store, let's say 5 values, and this int which will store, let's say 20 values. Now let me debug this. See here, let me clear out this. Array is created. If you see here, array is created. How many elements are there? 10 elements. So array 1 is an object. Array 1 is a reference variable which is pointing to that particular object and which has 10 values. Along with that, that array 1 has a length variable also and equal to 10. So array 1 is pointing to an object which has two things. One is that container and another one is length. What is the length of this particular? This is 10. Then second array, if you see here, array 1 we have two things. Array 1, array 2. Array 2 we have 5 elements and length of that variable is 5. And if you see carefully, all the elements are stored sequentially and all are initialized with default value 0. Array 3 also we have, with if you see here how many elements are there? 20 and all are initialized, yes. So now if you see array 1 is length 10, 5, 20, we have to just print that. That's it. Right? हमने वैल्यूज दिए, लेकिन मतलब हमने वैल्यूज लिया नहीं, मतलब वहां पे डिफॉल्ट वैल्यूज मिल गया सबको, बाद में आप चेंज कर सकते हो उसको. हाँ, correct. Good. Now if I create an array with a 0 size, can we do that? Yes, we can create an array with 0 size. And if I print the length, array with 0 size. So this is array 1 dot length. If you run this, you will get 0 size. So you can create an array with 0 size also. And don't try to write anything here. This is just to this is just a notation. This is just a notation. If you want to specify the size, you have to specify this in the right hand side. Do not specify anything here. Array size 0. Simple. Now if I try to create an array with a negative size, compile time will not get any error. Array with negative size. If you try to create, you will get one exception. What is that? Negative array size exception. So we cannot create an array. Remember, we cannot create array. Create an array with negative size. If I run this, you will not be able to do that. You will get runtime exception, that is negative array size exception. See here. Easy? Okay.
But sir, we can store negative values in the array.
Yes, yes.
We can
You
store
can,
that.
we can store that. So what I said is size cannot be. Elements can be negative. Elements can be negative. Elements can be negative. If you want, you can store negative elements also. Right? Now, if I create a, now in this case, what happens? All the elements will be, if I say that all the elements will be initialized with 0. Now, you know that values will be, you know values in advance. You can write like, let's say minus 10, 20, yeah, 40, yeah, minus 50. You can do that. That's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine. See? Now, I want to know the size of this array. Can do that. Array1 dot length. So we are able to store the data and we are able to get the length of that particular array. Now I want to know how these elements are stored and how do I access them. How do I access them? So let's see that how these elements are stored and how to access this back. Accessing this back means how to read this. Okay. Now see here carefully. Now whenever you create an array, this is an array. 1, 2, 3. Now this right hand side, always think this is an object and this is a reference variable and this is a type of data type of array elements and this is just a notation. Square bracket is just a notation. Do not try to add anything here. You will get compile time error. Right? Now this array points to an object. This array points to an object where elements are stored like this. 1, 2 and 3. Right? Now this is a reference variable. We know that this is a reference variable. Now this is pointing to an address. Now let's say this element, address of the object is 100. So first element is stored at 100. So how much memory I need to store these 3 elements? Total memory 12 bytes. 12 bytes we need. So 4 into 3, 4 bytes for each element and we have 3 elements. So 4 into 3, that is 12 bytes. So this object will have 12 bytes of elements. Now first element will be stored at 100, let's say. Second element is stored at 104 and let's say this is at 108. So 104, 100 to 104 4 bytes, 104 to 108 is 4 bytes and 108 to 112. Now what is the address of first element? Let's say 100. What is the address of second element? 104. Starting address, I am talking about starting address. What is the address of 3? 108. Sorry? Yeah, you want to say, that's fine, that's fine. 101, 102, 103, 104. Yeah, that's fine, that's fine. Let's say starting at is 101. So 101 to 102, 102 to 103, 103 to 4. That is 4 bytes. 101, this is 4 bytes, this is 4 bytes, this is 4 bytes. So we have total 12 bytes. Now can you tell me, now if I know the first element's address, can I find the last element's address?
Yes.
Or second elements? How do I find that? Now this first element's address is called as base address. This is called as base address. This is called as base address. Now I want to know the location of this particular second place. So how far this second element is from first element? Places. 4 bytes here. Container wise. Container size. 1 places. So how far the 1 is from itself? 0 places. How far this place is from first place? 1. How far 3 is from first place? 2. So we can say 0, 1, 2. So this 0, 1, 2 are called as indexes. And array index always start from 0. Index always start from 0. This is minimum and maximum will be size length minus 1. Length minus 1. Now length is 3. 3 minus 1, 2. ठीक. Now I want to know the address of the second element. How do I get that? Base address plus how many places? 1 into size of data types. You don't need to do this calculation, this is automatically done. Base address, let's say 101 plus 1 into 4, that is that 104. This will be 100, I think. That's fine. 104. We get the starting address as 104. Right? So if you know the base address, then you can calculate the address of any other element. Right? So index always start from 0. Now I want to print the value of this 1, 2, 3. How do I print that? I have array, so I write array of 0. This will give me 1. Array of 1 will give me 2. Array of 2 will give me 3. Now if I try to access an index which is not there, what will happen? So we have only 3 indexes, and if I say array of 3, is there any element, or is this any memory address like this? So this will give you one exception. What is that? Array index out of bounds exception. Array index out of bound exception में short form लिखा है. You आता कब आए? When you will get this? आपके पास कितने इंडेक्स हैं? 3 ही इंडेक्स है, तो आपके पास वही है 0, 1, 2, 3 ही इंडेक्स है, तो आपके पास ये रेंज है, रेंज ऑफ इंडेक्स. व्हाट इज द रेंज ऑफ इंडेक्स नाउ? 0 to 2, 0, 1, 2. 0 इज मिनिमम, मैक्स इज 2. तो इसके बाहर कोई भी एक्सेस करोगे तो आपको क्या आना चाहिए? आउट ऑफ रेंज, आउट ऑफ बाउंड. बाउंड मतलब रेंज, बाउंड्री. बाउंड्री ऑफ इंडेक्स इज 0 to 2, 0, 1, 2. मिनिमम इज 0, मैक्सिमम इज 2. इसके अलावा कोई भी एक्सेस करने का ट्राई करोगे, यू विल गेट array index out of bound exception. So I have an array and I want to access the elements, or I want to get the values from this array. So how do I print that? So I write array, I will write only plain array, array of 0, 1, 2, 3, and if I write 4, so this 0 will give me 10, this is minus 10, okay, this will give me 20, this will give me 40, and this will give me minus 50, and this will give me array index out of, I will write array index out of bounds exception. Let me run this. So if you see, I get the first element 10, 20, 40 and minus 50. But at this index 4, we don't have anyone. So array index is out of bounds. Array index is out of bounds. Let me debug this for you guys. बोलो बोलो. 3 से पहले कभी भी लिखो आप, you will get exception only. Now if you see here, 0th index we have 10, first index we have 20, second index we have 40, and third index we have minus 50. Now if I take this at the first line itself, what will happen? You will get exception, and that is end of your program. That is end of your program. Yes. Now if I directly run, what will happen? This line give me array index out of bound. And this is end of your program. This is your end of your program. Now it's running. See here. Where is that? At this line number 6, you get an exception. ये कभी print ही होगा नहीं. क्यों? क्योंकि that is end of your program. Array index out of bound exception. So you are trying to do something illegal. So it will stop you. It will not let you execute further things. You are trying to access a memory location which is not there. You are trying to access an array element which is not there. So it will give you, it will stop you. It will say that it's a invalid index. Check. Okay. So what all things we have seen so far? Let me write that also. So otherwise you will forget. Okay, let me write this. So if you know the values, then we can create an array like this. How do we do that? What is the syntax? Data type. Then we have to write square bracket. Then reference name equal to square bracket, curly braces, and then you can write the elements. Example. So I know this integer and I want to create 5 elements. And you should write proper namings, array of integers equal to say 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Similarly, you can create array of characters also. How do I, not 5, you don't need to specify 5 here, sorry, my bad. This is just a notation, huh? This is just a notation. There you have to write character. So you write array of characters, give complete names. Then I write single quote A, comma, single quote B, then comma, single quote C, and so on. If I want to create array of strings, how do I do that? String, and then write string array equal to, you can write double quotes ABC, PQR, like this. Next, if you do not know, what we have to do? If you do not know the values, then we can create the array like this. How do you create the array like this? Data type, the reference name, and there you write new data type, and there you have to specify the size. Example, this will be like this: new integer and size of the elements. Char, and you write, let's say 5. If you want to create array of strings also, you have to write new string, and there you have to write, let's say 5. Simple. Once array is created, or for every array, there is a variable. I am talking about variable length, which maintains the size of an array. All array elements are part of an object, where elements are stored in a sequential manner. So if you want to access, how do I access? So array elements, since array elements are stored sequential manner, using index we can access the array elements. Remember, array element always starts from array index always starts from 0. Maximum index in a given array will be length minus 1 and minimum will be will be 0. And very important, if we try to access an index which is not there in the given array, then we get array index out of bounds exception. Then we get array index out of bounds exception. Check. How to access that? I have an array, so I can write SOP of array of 0. This will give us first element. Check, this will give us first element. And there was one more thing, array creation. Array creation, there were some questions. We cannot create an array. We cannot create an array with negative array size, otherwise we get negative array size exception. Otherwise we get a negative array size exception. Remember, we can create an array with 0 size also. Example, we have created int, this is an array, this is a example of 0 size. Then we can also create like this, new int, and there you can write 0. This is also okay. Perfect. Let's go ahead. Now I want to iterate the array elements. So let's say I have 10,000 values. You cannot write 10,000 print statements. You cannot write 10,000 print statements. Yes? So how do I do that? We can use a loop. So instead of you accessing the values like this, now let's say there are 10,000 values. You cannot have 10,000 statements like this. So instead of this value changing, what is changing? This value changing 0, 1, 2, 3. This index is changing. So what we can do? We can write this for I stands for, we'll say, right, index. Index will start from 0, and how many times it will run? So I can write array.length. So you tell me how many times this loop will run? What is the index? 4 elements means what is the maximum? You tell me. What is the length? Array.length. What is the array.length? 4. And 0 means? So how many times this loop will run?
4 times.
Hmm?
Then less than that. If less than है ना, it's correct 4 times. Less than equal to 39.
You tell me what is the length of this? So what is the array size? Length, what is the size? 4. So you tell me how many times this loop will run? 5, 4. So see, first time index will be 0, then it will be 1, then it will be 2, then it will be 3, it will be 4. 4 less than or 4 less than array size index false हो जाएगा, तो चलेगा नहीं, तो आपका loop चलेगा only 4 times. That's why I asked you to revise loops. 0, 1, 2, 3. So this loop will run for 4 times. Right? Now every time your index will change from 0 to 1, 1 to 2, 1, 2 to 3 like this. So I have to just write s out array of index. That's it. Now your index will change from 0 to like this. Let me create this. So this loop will run for 4 times. Remember, this loop will run 4 times. Now see here, array is created. How many elements are there? 4. And what is index? 0, 1, 2, 3. There are 4 times. Now my loop should run only 4 times because I have only 4 elements. So I started with 0 and it will continue till array size. 0, array of 0, it will print, that is array of 0 is 10. Again index plus plus, index is 1, 1 less than array size, that is 4, yes, 1 less than 4, true. Then again array of 1, what is that? 20. Then again array index plus plus, then we print 40 and simply like 50. Now your index, all elements are printed. Now index is, what is your index? Now this time index, it will become 4. And the moment we become index 4, 4 less than 4, false. That is the end of your for. Simple. I hope you are able to understand this. Now I want to print the array in reverse order. I want to print the array in reverse. Print array. I am saying print the array in reverse order. So I have this array. Now you tell me what should I write? कहाँ से स्टार्ट करना है? आपका पहले प्रिंट होना चाहिए 50, 40 like this, right? So I should print 20, 30 and 40. So my first element should be 40, then 20, then 10 like this. 40, 30, 20, 10 ऐसा प्रिंट होना चाहिए. तो कहाँ से स्टार्ट करना पड़ेगा आपको? लूप. So loop should be starting from, index should be starting from array length. Sure. What is array length?
-1.
What is array length?
4.
4.
-9.
An array of 4 means? So array length minus 1. So this will give you 3. This will give you 3. And your index should be greater than,
Equal to 0.
less than or greater than? Greater than or equal to 0 or index plus plus, right? Your index should be starting from 0. First of all, it will be in, what is this? Array length minus 1, 3. 3 is greater than or equal to 0. True. Again, come inside the body. Then index minus minus. Index was 3, then became 2. 2 is greater than or equal to 0. True. Then print again. Then again index minus minus. index will be 1, 1 is greater than or equal to 0, true. Then again index minus 1 is 0, 0 is greater than or equal to 0. So array of 0, it will print 10 like this. So I have to write only one line. Array of index, that's it. See here, array is created. Perfect. Array is created with 4 elements. My index will start now from, it will start from array length minus 1, that is 3. 3 is greater than or equal to 0, true. Okay, so this will print array of index. What is index? 3. Index of 3, 40. Index of 3 is 40. Index of array of index 3 is now 40. Printed, yes, that is printed. Again index minus minus, so index become 2. So index equal to, this is first time, this will be first time only. Then index is 2, 2 is greater than or equal to 0, true. Print the index, array of index 2, that is 30. Similarly like this, that's it. 40, 30, 20, 10. Are we able to print in the ascending, in the first two last and last two first element also? Now I want to find sum of array elements. Sum of array elements, how do I find? Sum of array elements. जो भी array elements है उनका sum find करना है मुझे. So I have this array, इनका sum find करना है. So I will write a variable called as sum equal to 0. For loop use करेंगे simple. Index will start from 0 और ये कब तक चलेगा? Array dot length 0 1 2 3 4, लेंथ आ गया 4, 4 रुक जाएगा आपका. So इंडेक्स बन जाएगा 4, 4 लेस देन और इक्वल लेस देन 4 स्टॉप. तो ये लूप चलेगा कितने बार? 4 टाइम्स. देन व्हाट यू हैव टू डू, सिंपली सम इक्वल टू सम प्लस क्या करना है? इंडेक्स, नॉट इंडेक्स, दैट शुड बी एरे ऑफ इंडेक्स. इंडेक्स करोगे तो 0 1 2 3 ऐड होगा, नहीं तो फिर बोलोगे मेरा सर नहीं चल रहा. एरे ऑफ इंडेक्स, यू हैव टू स्पेसिफाई एरे ऑफ इंडेक्स, मतलब इस इंडेक्स पे जो वैल्यू है वो होना चाहिए यहाँ पर. एंड देन फाइनली यू कैन राइट एरे ऑफ सम ऑफ एरे एलिमेंट्स, और यहाँ पे प्रिंट करो बस सम. सो ऐसे इसको एक्सप्लिसिटली लिखो, सम ऑफ elements. That's it. Let me debug this. This loop will run for 4 times. Your index will be 0 1 2 3. Each time you get the element and you add that element to the sum of array elements. See here, now array is created. Perfect. Array is created, only 4 elements. Index is starting from 0 to 3. Minimum index is 0 and maximum is 3 now in this case. So array of elements is initialized is 0. This will be index equal to 0, index less than array dot length index plus plus. Okay, so index is less than, yes, index is 0, 0 less than array dot length is 4, 0 less than 4, true. So sum of array elements, it is initially 0, then array of index, array of 0, 10. Perfect. Then again index plus plus and so on. Your sum will be updated, so on. So your output will be 100. Sum of array elements is 100. Easy. Now I want to print only even array element. Even array elements. Print क्या करना है मुझे? Print even array elements. So how do I do that?
Index
This time I don't need sum.
Index mod 2.
Even element. Even index पे नहीं. Element should be index. क्या करोगे आप?
Index mod 2.
Not index mod 2. array of index. Index बोलोगे तो आपको 0 होगा, 0 1 2 3, 0 1 2 3. तो इंडेक्स क्यों करना है आपको? उस इंडेक्स पे जो वैल्यू उसको करना है आपको. Array of index mod 2 equal to 0. Then only you have to print. Then only you have to print array of index. Check. Now I will write some values, some 67, 71. So I have these elements. So these two elements will not be printed. Let's say, let me write this 11. So only three values should be printed, 20, 30, 40. Simple. So we are able to print, access the store, create an array, access the elements from the array, print the array from first to last, from last to end also. We are able to print the sum also. We are able to find even odd also. Right? Now what I want to do, I want to copy the content of one array into another array. How do you do that? Very simple.
Element by element you want to do, or you want to directly copy the array?
Array copy. So let's say I have array which contains array 1 and has some values. Let's say 10, 20, 30, 40, 56. Now I want to create a new array which will have the content of this. This is old array. This is old array you can think of. This is old array. Now I want to create a new array. Now a lot of people do this. What they do? New array equal to old array. This is not array copy, guys. This is only reference copy. In this case, what happens?
They both are pointing to the same object.
In this case, you are doing simple. What you do? Now, old array points to an object. Old is pointing to an object which contains these values: 10, 20, 30, 40, and 56. Now, what you did? New array equal to old array. So you said new array, copy the content of old array. What is the content of old array? Address of this particular object. So this new array will be also pointing to old array. So there is only one array. There is only one object, and there are two references. I don't want this. What I want? So I want to create a new array which is pointing to another separate object and which will have the same elements as of this. I want to do 10, 20, 30, 40, and 56. How do I do that? So initially you create the array with all these values, copy the array elements from this set to this one. First you create the array with the exactly same size as of this old array, and then you copy the content of this array into this array. How do I do that? We need only one for loop. We need only for loop. So I iterate the elements from this array and copy the array into this one. How to do that? Very simple. So new array should be, what should be the capacity of this new array?
Old array.
New int, new array length should be equal to old array dot length. Now there is object is created. All values are initialized with 0, 0, 0 now. Now I want to copy this 10 into that another place, 20 like this. So how do I do that? I take a for loop. Index will start from 0 and this will be old array dot length. That's it. Then what you do? New array of index equal to old array of index. That's it. New array of index equal to old array of index. That's it. And we have to print, now print new array. Now how do I print that? You will take a for loop again. For index equal to 0 and this will be new array dot length, and then you print only. Instead of printing new line, I will just print new array of index and I will give a space. That's it. or I can give a comma and space. Let me debug this actually. Then 20, 30, 56. Let me debug. See here. Now I have an array. Old array is created where elements are 10, 20, 30, 40, 56. New array is created, elements are 0, 0, 0. Then what I do, each iteration I copy the element from old array and paste it into new array. So 10 will be copied to this one, 20 will be copied to this one, 30 will be copied to this 0, 40 will be copied to this one, like this. So each iteration, if you see, your new array is getting updated. If you see, and then finally what we do, we have two different objects with equal content, and then we print the content of that particular array, new array, like this. Simple. Now one last example we'll see for today. So I have an array. There I have some set of elements, and someone says I have another element, and just check whether this element is present in the given array. Now this array can be of size 10,000, 20,000. In that array I want to check whether the given element is present or not. So we call it as key, and I have element. Now this key can be accepted from the user also. Now I want to know whether this 57 is present in the given array or not. Whether this 57 key, whether it is present in the given array or not. What we do? Very simple. Linear search, it is called as linear search. So you start a for loop. Each iteration you compare 5710, 5720, 5730, 5740, 5756, 5720, like this till how many times? The moment I get, let's say, element, now 57 is there, and there we have again 10,000 elements. Are you going to continue that? Are you going to continue that? Now how long you will continue? The moment we get the element, we will stop there itself, and we'll say the element is found at this particular index. If the element is not found, we will continue till end of loop. Start कहाँ से करेंगे? 0 से. कब तक continue करेंगे? जब तक element मिलता है. Element मतलब नहीं मिलता इन केस तो लास्ट तक करेंगे. बेस्ट केस क्या है? फर्स्ट इंडेक्स पे मिलेगा हमें. वर्स्ट केस क्या होगा? सबसे लास्ट. तो हमारा लूप कहाँ से कहाँ स्टार्ट होगा? परफेक्ट, सेम. इंडेक्स 0 से लेके हम चलेंगे कहाँ तक? एरे ऑफ लेंथ. दैट्स इट. और हम क्या करेंगे? इफ एरे ऑफ इंडेक्स इक्वल टू गिवन की, then we will simply say key found at index, and I will print the index, and immediately we will stop the loop also. For that we have to use, that's it, key found at index. And let's say key is not there, then you have to tell user that key is not there. Key is not there. नहीं कर सकते आप immediately else. तो हर iteration what we will print? Key not found, key not found, key not found, key not found. If I write else here, what will happen? तो आप काम करो ना, आपने flag तो देखा ही है. Is found, by default you will 0, false, and then is found equal to true, and you will break, and finally you will say if found is found, then I will say found and not found. That's it. यहाँ पर प्रिंट करने की भी ज़रूरत नहीं है. That's it. If it is found, then it will be found. If it is not found, then it is not found. That's it. 57 is present. Yes. It will say found. Element is found. Found. Now, if I say element is 570, this element is not there. हाँ कर सकते हैं वैसे. You can specify the index also here also. If it is found, then we'll say index it is found at this particular location. Not found. Simple. This is called as linear search. Simple. Now we have a lot of super programs on array. You just practice today on this. Tomorrow we'll be seeing how to reverse array elements, how to shift elements from one location to another. We'll see some examples. Check. Now let's say I have an array. Now we'll take this example tomorrow only, but I will tell you the hint. Now I have elements 10, 20, 30, 40. Now if you see at 0th index we have 10, at first index we have 20, second index we have 30 and so on. Now what I want 40 to be present at 10th index, this 30 to be present at this index. How do I do that? You don't have to take new array. You don't have to take new array without using third array. Third array करके तो बहुत easy है. In third array, what you do, you take a new array and you just start getting the array elements from this and you put in that. That is easy. I don't want to take new array. Then how do you do that? हाँ same array नहीं. Yes. No.
Taking some temporary variable.
Yes, you are absolutely correct. You want to take a temporary variable? Yes, you take a temp. You take a temp, and temp में आप क्या करो? ये वाला element ले लो temp, and then this element array of 0 equal to array of 3. तो यहाँ पे ये 40 आ गया. अब ये 40 हो गया, तो मुझे इस इंडेक्स पे क्या अपडेट करना है? 10. तो क्या करोगे आप? array of 3 equal to 10. That's it. Now this is swap. Now this swapping will continue. How long? Till the time we have elements. So you have to just do this, left and right. I will explain that. Don't worry. Don't worry. So this is something we are going to see tomorrow. What is the algorithm? How do we use that? Tomorrow we'll see. Before that, I will ask you a simple for loop, a while loop. This is a while loop example. So I have variable int left equal to 0 and int right equal to 5, and I have while left is less than right. And I print left and right. What is the output? This will be infinite, obviously, because your left and right are not changing. So left will be always less than right. So what I do, I say left plus plus. Now how many times my loop will run? How many times my loop will run? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. 5 times. Okay. Now why infinite?
3 times.
How many times?
3 times.
Only 2 times.
अच्छा वही है.
Only 2 times. 0, 5. Okay. Then 0 plus plus, that is 1 and 4. 1 less than 4, true. Then
2, 3.
2, 3. Okay, 3 times. This will run 3 times. Yes, it will run 3 times. 2 and 3. Okay. Then left plus plus, right, minus minus. So same logic we have to use. If you know this logic, then you will understand the reversing the array logic. In this case, what is happening? Left is incrementing, right is decrementing. So if you see here, left is 0, right is 5. So left is 0, right is 5. 0 less than 5, true. Okay, so it will print 0, 5. Now left become 1, right become 4. 1 is less than 4, true. 1 is less than 4, true. Then again you will print 1 and 4. Then your left will become 2 and right will become 3. Okay. 2 less than 3, true. You will print 2 and 3. Then left plus plus, 2 become 3 and right become 2. Then 3 less than 2, false, and this is the end of your loop. That's it. This loop will run 3 times. Simple. You are able to understand this? Okay. Now I will tell you the same logic here also. Pay attention. So I have 5 elements: 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Now I have these elements 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So what you have to do? We have to do just swapping. You have to just do. Now I will take left as 0 and right as this one 4. That is array length minus 1. I will do left plus plus and right minus. Now you do how many swappings I have to do? I want to swap the content. This is first swapping. 2 swapping. Within 2 swapping, khatam loop. So first time you will do 10 and 50 swapping, then 20 and 40, 30 will be remain there only. So within two iteration, your loop will be, you will be able to sort the elements. How many swappings we have to do? 2. Now let's say there are 500 elements. How many swappings we have to do? 250. There are 500 elements. How many swappings we have to do? 250. If there are 1000 elements, how many swapping we have to do? Which swapping? Left and right. Then left plus plus, right minus minus. So left is 0, do this. This swapping is done. What you do? Left is updated to this one and right is updated to this one. Swap this left and right elements. Then again increment. The moment your left and right meet, that is the end of your loop. How many times? What we have to do? We have to do the swapping from beginning to end. Then left plus plus, right minus minus. Then do the swapping. Then again left plus plus, right minus minus. At some point they will meet middle of the loop, middle. So that time you have to stop.
So if there are 4 elements,
Then you tell me. If there are only 4 elements, what will happen?
2 times what?
So I have this array 0, 1, 2, 3. My left will be 0, right will be 3. So just swap this. Done. Then do a left plus plus. Your left will come here. Left will be 1 and right will be 2. 3 minus minus, right? This will be initially 0. This is 3 and do. Now do the swapping. That's it. 2 iteration. Now when we have to stop? How many times you have to continue? Till how long we have to continue? Till the time left is less than right. That's it. This is your condition.
Yes.
And technically this is the code. While left is less than right, what you have to do? You will take a temp array of left equal to array of right equal to temp. That's it. Only 3 lines of code. How many lines of code? We have 3 lines of code. Reverse array content. Not printing the reverse. We are actually modifying the existing array. This lot of people don't know. Now I have an array. What I do? I take left and right. You will do left and right. You will again increment left and right. But when you do increment after doing the swapping, you will do the swapping. Which swapping? 10 and 50. Then you will do increment the left and then decrement the right. So what you do, you will take a temp equal to array of left, and array of left equal to, that's it, an array of right equal to perfect. That's it. Array of right. What is array of right? You have mentioned 5, but this should not be array length minus 1. Perfect. So left is this side, right is this side. That's it. So whatever the index, you will be able to calculate. And finally, you will print the array content after reversing. Index should be 0 to array dot length. That's it, and we'll print in the reverse order. So I will not give the line, I will just print the array of index, and I will just give a space. That's it. Anyways, I will be explaining this code again tomorrow, but you have a look. This is one of the program you can do very easily. 50, 40, 30, 20, 10. This is one of the good example you can practice reversing the content. Lot of people, what they do, they start a for loop from end to beginning. Don't do that. That is just printing the array. We want to modify the existing array. For that, you have to use this logic. Okay? So we'll stop today and we'll continue next session.